Hey guys, my name is Paul Layden. I'm a professional game designer, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make a free-to-play game from scratch, from beginning to end. So Hey guys, my name is Paul Layden. I'm a professional free-to-play game designer, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how I design a video game from beginning to end on an original idea. And I did it over the course of 7 days, so I crammed everything into this little video. So there's a lot of information. So I think it's extremely valuable. If you're in the free-to-play mobile industry and you're watching this video, I think it's a really, really good video to watch. And I'm not just saying that from a biased position because I made it, but also because something like this never existed. I don't think any designer has ever designed an entire game on film. And I just feel like it would be super worthwhile for you to watch it. So tell your boss, tell your friends, check out this video. Also, I have 3 gift cards for this particular video for you guys. One is $25 for Amazon, one is $25 for iTunes, and one is, $25 for iTunes, $25 for Xbox, and $50 for Amazon. And throughout the video, I kind of flash them real quick, the codes to them, and the first person to put the code in gets the money. So you might not think you're the first person to see it, but we have a very small following, and somebody else might have seen it and said, maybe I'm not the first person. So I imagine a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm not the first person. But you just might be the first person, so try to punch in that code. The deal is this. We need to make a game, and oftentimes when you go to make a game, you do it within the boundaries that you're in. You don't design a game outside of your company's capabilities, for example. Some companies have special technology. You can't design outside of their engine, like something for Unity when they're using some kind of personal engine that they built. Or you can't design a game for a 50-person team when you have a 20-person team. So in this particular video, we're going to be talking about something a little bit smaller, but it's jam-packed with information because there's a lot to be learned. But the game is going to be based off the genre of idle games. Idle games are highly desired games for small teams because we figure that, hey, you know, it's minimal effort with a big return. And that could not be true sometimes, I can tell you that, because sometimes these little games can be extremely hard to manage, but a bigger game is even bigger to manage. But these little games, they can look simple, but they can get a little big. But we're going to find that out. So I had an original idea like 2 years ago, and I called that idea Zombie Inc. And basically what it is, it's a game about zombies that are running out of a zombie spawn towards a city. It's practically like Egg Inc. Egg Inc.'s a game where you tap a button, chicken runs out, and it runs into a hen house. And then it's like laying eggs, and trucks go by, and you have income from laying eggs. So my idea is that a zombie runs out into a city, and the city fights back, and your job is to get stronger and stronger zombies to overcome waves of cities, and the city's constantly resetting, and it becomes like this idle game. Okay idea, very basic. Now where do we go? What do we do now? Many companies have new features, they have original ideas, we spend money on marketing, testing, ads, we do big demos, all kinds of stuff. But this is where I would start from a free-to-play game perspective and how I flesh out a game over the course of my career. I've been doing pieces of this, but this is my best work to date. This is how I do it today, and it's been really useful my entire career, and I think it'll be useful to you. So check this video out. Let's get started. Let's jump into it, and I'm going to try to design a game from scratch over the course of 7 days. And yeah, I'll see you on the other side. We'll see if it's good. All right, let's jump into it. Egg Inc. is a really beautiful game. And the reason why is because the sunlight and those drop shadows, it just looks so good. And they have basic black icons, but they move a lot, so it works. And I love black icons. We're going to use a lot of those later. This is some research page, and at this point I kind of don't understand it, but I just keep playing and trust that I'll figure it out. The menus repeat themselves all the time, so I think it's bigger than it really is, and I keep playing it. It has a little rewards page where you log in every day, some simple store, some upgrade your egg page. 45 minutes later, have these big white hen houses and the chickens are running out. It's only got like 5 or 6 mechanics, but it's so simple that I keep on feeling at this point that there's something more to it. So I cut it at 45 minutes. I make an in-app transaction and I'll log in later. So I make a brick now. A brick shouldn't take long. It's 5:41 right now. It should be done in about, I'm not sure, we'll find out. A brick is where I take the video, the footage that you just saw me take, and I take slow screenshots by pausing the video. And each screenshot then drops onto my desktop. And over time, I have this really neat alignment of every screenshot in the game. And this is what it kind of looks like in slow motion, but let's speed it up. Then I open up Illustrator and I drag every screenshot into it, and I make this nice brick-like building of every screenshot in the game. This is going to be so critical to designing a game later because I'll have this massive point of reference. It's something I learned over time that I found super useful, and I just keep doing it because it just really, really helps me make games. I go over how to do this in a research video on Game Makers in more detail, but that's pretty much what I'm doing here. It's 6:09, so about to wrap up, so it took about 30 minutes. Due to 105-degree weather, my computer wasn't able to maintain good audio, so the rest of this video was edited in a Starbucks. Now what I'm doing is I'm choosing screenshot by screenshot the ones I find most useful, and I'm copying them. I'm about to do a huge copy-paste into an annotation area where I then put them all about 5 inches apart so that there's space for me to work and point out every single feature in egg ink so I really, really, really understand it. I don't want to talk your ear off about the whole game, but basically what I'm doing is I'm just being honest with myself. If I don't know it, I write, I don't know. And then later, often, I come back to it and figure it out. But this is just me figuring out every single thing. And I'll shut up now, just do the work.
The next station is Dubai Internet City.
I meet a lot of people who say they know games, they know this, they know that, and I'm not sure how they do it, but this is how I do it.
النداء الأخير لطائرة طيران الإمارات رحلة رقم 971 والمتوجهة إلى طهران.
I've been doing this for a while, so I got pretty fast at it. I always had this bone to pick with free-to-play. I wanted to kick its ass, be the best at it. These are the last two ones. It took me about 20 minutes. Now I'll retype its entire research tree from scratch. You'd be surprised. Free-to-play games' biggest weakness is its boosts. Once you know their boosts, you know everything. Not many games have very many boosts. I hardly see a game with more than 25 boosts. Very rarely do I see that. I'm using color coding to find which boosts are repeating. Most of the time, designers just repeat the boosts and give them different names. I've never seen a game have over like 25 boosts. So I'm trying to see which ones are unique, like mapping them with the same color. This game has about 16 useful boosts. The rest are kind of throwaway in-game boosts. Alright, don't wimp out on me yet. Still got some work to do. Now I write out all the key features of the entire game as like a bullet point paraphrase, so when I reference the entire annotation later, I can know it all very quickly. Now this is the gold right here. I take all the key systems, I write them out. That's all I ever wanted, was key systems. So that was Sunday, now it's Monday. I got a lot of work to do, so let's skip through it all.
I repeat the process with other games. Play the crap out of idle miners, make a brick, annotate everything, research all of their boosts online, make the key features. It's literally the hottest time of the year, so I'm dealing with really high friction, and at this point I'm a little worried that I can't pull off my deadline, but I'm still going for it. No excuses. Played a game called Idle Island, make a brick, annotate it, get all the key features. I decided to work at my gym to try to beat the heat. Played Idle Miner, a lot of Idle Miner, make a brick, annotate it all, get the key feature. We're running out of time. Idle Heroes was kind of a mistake. It's much bigger of an idle game, but I got something from it. This is Idle Armies. I was excited about this because you actually kill little guys to get coins, kind of like Zombie Inc. We're running out of time, but the pre-production will be worth it. Today is my last day of research, and then I'll design. All the research is done, and now we need to design the game. But first we're going to take screenshots of the monthly revenue of every single game that we just researched, and we're going to make what I call a playground. Okay, so this is every key screenshot, all the key systems, and the monthly revenue wrapped around a big white board area where we will design a brand new game from scratch using all the best things from everything we just researched. And this is what I call a playground. I've been doing this for a long time, and this part never gets any easier. You can know a lot about video games and still not be able to make one. There's a big difference. Okay? And my environment is extremely high friction. I have been kindly allowed to work in this house for free, and I've worked here before, but man, it has its challenges. It's got cockroaches, it's got rats, a lot of other unmentionable things, but it's got some good things too. It's got a cat, it's got roses by the door, and has a wall charger, and we stay grateful, man. So wherever you are and you're trying to make a game, let's go, man. What's your excuse? Let's make a fucking game, man. Let's do this. Life's too short. I'm gonna rebuild Egg Inc.'s UI from scratch to get a base. It's something I've been doing for a long time. I use icons and simple vectors to recreate big mock-ups. I use vectorstock.com to get lots of material for zombies. I'm shopping around for isometric kits and roads to try to build a city view, but I'm kind of struggling with the perspective of these roads. They're actually not layering properly, so I resort to just using cubes in a second. I try to find a main character for the game, because you reuse a character for a game a lot. So I chose this little zombie dude to be the main character, and I make little dummies. I'm trying to build out the systems and a city perspective view to kind of tie in all my thoughts on how this would work, how zombies would come out of the city and actually attack people, and you could gain currency. This took me about an hour. On the second hour, I started to get a little worried about endgame. I'm trying to map out all these mechanics. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how is this thing going to get bigger? So I'm looking and researching Egg Inc.'s maxed out city, trying to see how this city will be maxed out. I think it's going to be a little bit hairy. Also, I need another mechanic, so I'm looking to add something like an antenna or some weather mechanic that boosts the zombies, something like silos for egging. Before I get too far, I want to make sure my UI looks good, so I'm going to be airdropping myself a screenshot and checking it by hand just to make sure it all looks like how I hope it looks. Now what I'm doing is I'm exploring different layouts of the city, one that feels comfortable. Of course, an artist or a team could always change this. I'm flipping things around, just trying to get a feel for how I want to continue the rest of the mock-ups. And then I get the idea that maybe it should be floating on an island for beauty points, maybe get featured by Apple. And I start to try to figure out if this game will even scale. Like, can it have a little city, a medium city, and a big city? So here's my little city. And I go for a medium city and a big city. I decide that I think it can work. It's 105 degrees today, and I'm really feeling it at this point. And although it's kind of early, I feel like I need to wrap up. So I start to take every single feature of the game and just give it a name, give it a title, every button, every system, everything. Down to the car, down to the users, the little NPC characters, everything. Because I gotta abort a mission, it's just way too hot. It's Saturday, only 2 days left. Remember all those features that I pulled aside? Now I have to explain every single one of them. The fast forwarding speeds vary during the video. I'm just trying to get you through it as fast as possible because I know your time is valuable. Right now I'm just getting the hang of their basic pop-up system. Here I'm adding a Gaussian blur, I think it's what it's called, to make the background look blurry so the pop-ups stand out a little bit better. It's going to help me. I'm trying to make this video really fast for you because I know your time is valuable, but look what I'm doing here. I'm pointing out one feature, zooming in on it in a really nice illustration saying this little feature is this thing. In this case, it's a progress bar that leads to the next city. So the engineer would know, or they would understand, that this is actually the goal of the game. And I'm making really clean instructions so somebody would understand that. And I designed a small button that also flashes when you reach the end of your goal. And then I start to break down the menu in which that offers you the choice to go to your next city, which is something I call the zombie apocalypse. This is a little slow motion, so it's going to take a second, but I'll speed up the rest of it. So I'm researching another game, how they go through their process. Drawing a small city, saying, look, when you get to the end, this is what the pop-up looks like, saying, hey, let's go to the next city or not now. And then I start to design what is the animation to go to the next city, which is, in my opinion, super cool. The entire island would rotate and twist towards the user, dumping off all of the NPCs and zombies and rolling over to a bigger island. My illustrator crashed. Load it back up. So I'm drawing arrows telling the engineer, look, when the new city has been zombie apocalypse, it's going to twist towards us, giving it an amazing table tipping effect with everything sliding off, to give it some eye-catching feature, possibly good for an Apple video in the store, and maybe even a featuring. And that's how I do every single feature by feature. Zoom in, show the engineer, and go into great detail. The next feature is called checkpoints. Those little lines on the progress bar represent places that don't allow you to go backwards. because the city is trying to repair itself. So I say there's construction guys that are trying to repair the city that you're destroying with zombies. So it gives it this free-to-play push and pull. So the engineer would need to know, and the game team would need to know, that this place catches on fire and that it actually is trying to be repaired. Unlike most idle games that keep going forward, this game actually has a pull that brings it backwards. The theory is that a user will stay longer in the idle game to reach a checkpoint rather than leaving any time they please, but it still has the progress as an idle game. And because of all my research, I know that if a user makes a checkpoint, it's only right that we offer an ad to double the income towards the next checkpoint. So just to give it that idle sauce. Now I'm explaining the kill currency, that when you kill something, it pays you coins. It's pretty simple. This design doc explains that the zombies are throttled and come out of the zombie spawner. Now I'm about to work on the shop. I'm going to take about an hour on it, but basically what I'm doing is I'm using a Starbucks feature where you collect stars and creating some kind of casual VIP system by blending a Starbucks UI with Egg Inc. mixed with my favorite looking idle game called Idle City, trying to do a layout that kind of meets everything in between. And I'm trying to make it look really good and make sure it's right. Designing sales, the store is super critical. I usually spend days on a good store. Okay, maybe it only took about 30 minutes. I'm gonna slow it down here a little bit. You see it? There's Starbucks UI. Kind of going over it. And I'm blending it into this like weird casual Starbucks earn points when you spend and watch ads system. A basic random reward system. We're making really good time. Now I'm going to be doing a current mission, and I name it Kill 100 Children. It's just a joke. Brainstorming better current mission ideas than Kill 100 Children. Destroy a building might be more suitable. I'm doing a quick performance warning pop-up. They did one of these in Egg Inc. when the game got sluggish. I think we'll need one of these too. It's 4:13. I'm designing a research page. It's mostly influenced from Egg Inc., but with Zombie Inc. research. None of my UI would look like this in the end. Generally, I work with super professional UI guys, and I just show them what we're going for. I'm designing out the boosts for the game. Every idle game has boosts. Warp speed, go forward in time, 2x this, 2x that. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty tired around this time. I felt sick. I needed a second wind. Hang in here with me, guys. We're almost done, okay? So now I'm gonna design some sails. I like designing sails, so I'm just gonna give the team an idea of what they look like. My favorite sail was from Idle Miner. So we're gonna bite off of it a little bit. Remember that little zombie character I bought a while ago? I told you every game needs a main character. This is where that kind of stuff comes in real handy. Because you got a little vector of a guy, and everywhere you can use that guy. So here I'm kind of modeling out my favorite looking Idle Miner sail. And I'm just going for a clone copy at this point. Of course, none of my UI would go into the game. Always, always, always delegate that to professional. But at least it gives everyone an idea. I like the flames on it. I think it looks pretty good, to be honest. Brrr. Sail. We started today around 11:30. I found a mistake in the first mock-up. In Egg Inc., when your farm has a specific value, it moves over to a new egg and it resets your entire farm. In Zombie Inc., it moves over to a crazier zombie and resets your zombie spawn. So I need a reset your spawn type of menu button. Just put that right on back. So now I'm tackling a bigger issue. You see, in games like Egg Inc. and Idle Island, the chickens and the people run into buildings, so they disappear. And that's a big advantage because it cleans up the map. So what I'm saying is every zombie has a time limit. The stronger the zombie, the longer it lives. So the zombies don't just flood the map. So each line represents a certain length of time a zombie lives. The stronger your spawn, the longer a zombie lives. To help with crowding on the map and give the game a fun, thematic, free-to-play upgrade system. The deal with the clouds and the lightning is this. There's a weather machine. Stronger the weather machine, longer your zombies live. And the things that the clouds are striking with lightning are the attack of the zombies. And it's just a nice way so engineers could read the steps of the feature. It's basically a pretty magazine annotation. Thing people are going to wonder about. How do the NPCs attack the zombies? Well, each NPC is going to have a little radial circumference around it where zombies can't get into, and then he'll animate attacks, kicks, and punches, and stabs, and shooting guns, or whatever. And the zombies can't really cross its radial dial. That way you can always see an NPC, and the zombies won't overcrowd the NPC. So I'm explaining the attack and how that would work. Something I had in the back of my mind for a while, but I gotta lay it out there so people know, and we can all make a better decision on it. I'm explaining that the zombies attack buildings as well, and that buildings take damage, and things like that. Pretty simple. In this design, I'm explaining that a little alien needs to fly by, and when you tap it, it pays you coins. Egg Inc. has an offline feature where they sell you a concept called grain silos. This is a similar concept, except they're antennas. Okay, it's Sunday, last day, almost there, guys. In this clip, I'm just brainstorming off the top, free-to-play ideas. I'm not reviewing a blog or reading the internet. It's all from the top. Part of the reason I'm able to design games relatively fast is I can see the menu before I even get to it. So I'm a little annoyed at this point because I'm actually just visualizing things through bullet point, but I have to still design them so other people can see what I'm talking about, because that's a game designer's job, is to educate, teach. So I'm trying to find where my time would be best spent today. I've got like emergency timed events, secret sales, holiday sales, things like that. The first feature I'm working on this Sunday is to double your income for watching an ad pop up. Very popular, very common, total no-brainer. I'm designing some push notifications out today, just for fun. I think they're important and not really take it seriously. Most of the time they end up in bullet point lists way later. But if your team could actually see a few of the push notifications of the product, they might actually get an idea why they might keep playing it. In this case, I'm just writing some out. I think my ideas are okay. And then looking at them help me, I get an idea that maybe I should look to the internet for zombie jokes. And that's what I do here in a second. And I find some pretty funny ones. There are like a whole list of them. And they did not disappoint. Some of them were really funny. Out of all the games that I researched, I felt like Idle Island had the strongest advertising system. They just pollute the right side of the screen with reward and ad, reward and ad. It's hard to tell the difference. I felt like I watched more ads in that game than any other one. So I'm going to be recommending we go with that system out of every single one that I've seen, including Adventure Communist stuff. Now I'm working on a visual boost. Idle Miner, in my opinion, had the strongest visual boosts. You really knew that they were boosting characters in their game when you turned it on. So we're going to be doing that for our game as well. In some research not related to this genre, AFK, a game I researched recently, AFK Arena, had one of the best Rate Us pop-ups I've seen in a while. It's pretty decent, and it comes after the second daily login. So I'm connecting this to our daily login, a nice AFK Zombie Inc. Rate Us for gems pop-up. I'm pointing out how we might want to handle cars on the map. Either they come out of garages or they just pull up on the street. This is my last design, and I'm actually showing why Adventure Communist is successful with their event system and their rank up system, and I'm designing it into Zombie Inc. to show why it would not work. I'm not designing it because I think we should do it. I'm actually against it for this particular product, just in case anyone wants to know why the best game's doing so good and why we can't do what they do for this particular product. So now I'm pretty satisfied with everything. I'm just making different cards to explain the rest of my ideas and not giving them mock-ups because I think we're done here. You made it, guys. Congratulations. Let's save this file. This is a free-to-play idea in full. Well, kind of. We'll talk about that, but it's a lot. So now we can make an educated decision. But first, I'd like to talk about this game and see if it's good or not.
Let's talk about the game. Pretty cool stuff. And I want to measure it a little bit and talk about it honestly and professionally and very intelligently. The game fucking sucks. It's trash. It's a crappy game. I'm just kidding. That would suck. You guys would be like, what? Man, you did all that. You made me watch all those videos. The game sucks. But let's talk about it though, for real. Let's talk about my performance. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. 10 being great, 1 being really bad, 10 outstanding. I would say I did about a 5. It was a very high friction environment. It's super hot, very hard. Sometimes you get a wobbly table at Starbucks. Sometimes you don't have the charger. Very difficult. And I think it kind of hurt the performance a little bit. Although it was 7 days, it's an amazing delivery. When I look at the mock-up, I think, well, there's still some things that were hurt by here, and it was definitely because of the performance. And you should always measure the performance of your designers and see what they're doing, because you can find tons of flaws in those mock-ups. One in particular, I didn't like how in my store mock-up, I couldn't see the total currency of the user. So when a user's shopping in a store, usually they like to see how much currency they have before they make a purchase. Really small, just push one thing forward a layer and you'll be able to see it, but still it kind of bugged me. So when I looked at it, I was like, the performance was a little bit hard, but I would say it's like a strong 6, maybe a 5. The design itself. Now, is this idea worthwhile, Well, we'll get to that. First, let's talk about the design. I'm going to give it another 5 out of 10. And in general, the reason why is because I think the game's a little messy. People don't like messy. I'm not too afraid of it, but I would imagine if I took this to a bunch of engineers, a team, executive team, and I told them some of the things about zombies coming out, crowding issues, things like that, people would be like, oh, I don't know, right? A lot of wonder, a lot of worry. It's kind of overcomplicated. I could see this game getting a little bit heavy on the hearts of the team, right? It'd be wearing us down, So there's some things there where I think it could be a little bit more simple. A lot of people want a game that's very menu driven with a simple battle mechanic behind it, like take Clash Royale, for example. Everyone wants something like that, of course, or like Adventure Communist, just a big blocky menu game. So this thing has things that are kind of like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. It's more like marbles on a table. They're rolling everywhere and you want to get them together, as opposed to blocks on a table, which is you just set one down and it's there. So it has this strange difficulty to it, which I think is a little bit much for a free-to-play game, but it really just depends on the team, which I'll talk about that. Oh, but before we get away from the design saying that it's worth a 5 out of 10, 10 being amazing, I'd say that There's a fan metric that I like to talk about sometimes, is that I can't really speak to right now. So a fan metric is like, you know, QA is paid to provide a wonderful service to testing the game, but the fan always beats the QA because they're a fan and they play nonstop. So I think that if I showed this to an engineer who's been working in the industry like 20 years, and he's like, I love it, this is easy, I can make a demo of this, no problem, you know, zombie runs out, NPC attacks, I get it. And he's like, it's actually kind of cool. And on the other hand, you have like an artist, and they're like, dude, I've been working on crap for so long, this is cool, zombies, let's do this. And besides, you make one building, you make another building, I can make an art kit, and it's actually not that big, Paul. You got a floating island, and they're like, does it have to be a floating island? Could it be like a floating test lab? Maybe it's themed like Portal, and it's like a zombie factory test site or something like that. And then people start to get kind of cool about it, and now it's just kind of blossoming. So the fan metric behind it, where people actually like it, because so many people work on stuff they don't like, it's crazy. So if people actually liked it, it could way improve in design. Just right now, I have this feeling that some people may be a little bit like, I don't know, it's kind of hard. And because of that, I think it deserves a 5 with a potential of maybe an 8 if a fan metric kicks in, because you'd be really surprised, depending on an engineer or an art team, they might be like, it's nothing, this is great. It's gonna be so much fun. And in that case, let's go, right? The technology. I wanna give the technology an 8 out of 10, just because it's an isometric playing field and it's got little guys running on it. And when you're building a game, you should always build a game for your next game if you can. Reusing technology is so critical. Nothing should go to waste. And in fact, this entire design process won't go to waste. Nothing goes to waste in free to play. So if you built a game like this, depending on the engineer's comment on it, there might be some reusable technology. I mean, you have people running around in kind of like a intelligent way on a map, and it's pretty. It has maybe some potential IP reuse. I mean, it's a zombie game, for God's sake, so you could probably reuse that. So it has some potential to be, you know, a game that could become something more. A turn-based game where they fight on a playing field or something like that. A brawler type game, a mini gore type game, if you remember mini gore. It has all these little things that could be, but then again, that would just solely depend on the engineering team. So I'm gonna actually give it like an 8. Just because I like the perspective, and I think the technology is worthwhile if it's reusable. If it's none of it's reusable and it's all crashed, then the technology is not an 8 anymore. It would be more of like a 4. So my opinion of this game, would I work on this game? Because I'm not like a kind of guy, I'm just gonna say no. I would not. I would have to see the fan metric kick in big time, because I need to know that a game works so much that I would just be willing to work on it non-stop and get other people to believe it too. When I believe in a product, man, I believe in a product. I will fly around the world to work on it. I will talk to people about that product like I believed it was like a religion, right? And people would be like so on fire about it. And I kind of don't know if I feel it because of some of the things I mentioned in this review here. I feel like it's a little overcomplicated in some ways. It's a little expensive. I'd be willing to demo it out on the web real fast and to play with it, to talk about it. And I do think it would be worthwhile for some people, but not a company that just raised money or has little money left. But if I was a really talented company who was looking for an idle game, I think it would be kind of like an okay option, just depending on the team. This particular situation that I'm in right now, we have some people maybe joining. The situation's kind of tricky. You know, there's all these factors you have to take into account: marketing, dev time, the capability of the dev team, what people want, all these things. So if all those things came into alignment, you know, hell, why not? Let's do it. Zombie Inc., let's go. But because I think there's something better and I'm capable of rendering something better, perhaps I would just say no. So that's unfortunate, but this is extremely important. So many people spend lots of money on games, and I can't knock the process. The industry is the industry. I'm not here to complain about it. I just think that we do lots of things. We spend thousands of dollars on tests and ads and landing pages and, oh my God, so much research and marketing. And this kind of service is so invaluable because, you know, I've worked with companies where within the first week that I worked there, I've saved them like $500,000, and that's a real number and a real statement. I have people who can prove that. But you know, imagine being able to avoid disaster, right? So free-to-play designers are supposed to be built to do this, not just find success, but to also find danger and educate on it, why, and not be embarrassed if that's actually the case for them. So, you know, I humbly admit that the idea is, you know, possibly not the best, but it is worthwhile to check out. I do feel like it's original, and you know, I'd be really surprised. Somebody might be able to prove me wrong. They might be like, man, you know what, this is gonna be good, and then we could start getting it going, right? Like, so if I had an economist with me, a team with me, we may be even able to take this decision even further to a really aggressive no or a very aggressive yes, to where I'm like working with a super badass team and we're just like, no. Or we might be like, yeah, this is cool, this is perfect. Like, look at the budget, look at the time, let's go. But since none of those things are here and it's just me, I'm gonna say that I feel like it's a little dangerous. And I think that an investor would be like, I don't know. And just, I see the complications of mobile industry involved with it as well. As an indie game for a small team, I think it might be a fun try. I think that the ad service would work just fine. I don't know if the revenue would be as high as people want. Adventure Communists, supposedly, I think on Sensor Tower, it was like $300,000 a month. And Egg Inc., I think, was doing around $150,000, $180,000 a month. And would this game be able to do better than Egg Inc.? Yeah, maybe. But it would definitely be around that area. But there were some very beautiful idle games that were only making like $3,000 a month. So some idle games do like fantastically well, fine amount of revenue. Some games just don't do anything. So it's kind of like this, it's a weird decision. So because of that, I have to say no, but I say no from the most damn professional standpoint I could possibly be in. Not because I'm like, I don't know, blah, 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 from a meeting room at the other end of the table, but because I really scoped it out and checked it out. And this is the kind of service that I think is super valuable for the game industry. So that's it, guys. You know, share the video. If you're interested in this kind of thinking or something like that, hit up Game Makers. Contact us in the comments. If you're interested about learning about your game or an idea around a feature or anything like that. Yeah, I really think that's it. It was a lot of fun, and I feel good about it. All right, thanks guys. Later.